So there are not a lot of rules on my channel, but I do have one rule that I follow by, not only on my YouTube channel, but also in my personal life. And that is, if I have an idea for something and I'm not like immediately certain about it, I don't just sleep on it, but I let it go 3 days. I use the 3-day rule. All right, guys. And basically, you know, if I have this feeling that I want to do something and after 3 days, I still have that feeling, I pretty much go ahead and do it. And about 3 days ago, I got a comment here on YouTube on one of my videos where I provided 8 Dragon Ball Legends tips in 8 minutes. So I'm going to be breaking down this comment piece by piece in the video. So to get a full grasp of the entire comment, be sure to watch the whole video because it gets better. And I want to do these kind of piece by piece intentionally. And there's also some replies down to the bottom that I'm going to get to as well throughout the video. I feel like I may have been a little bit harsh here. If I'm wrong, educate me down below. Of course, be sure to subscribe, turn the like button Super Saiyan Blue. It's a really good way to get this video out there and therefore, you know, increase the discussion that we've got going on here. But anyway, I'm also going to be covering this person's name, you know, just because normally I don't have any kind of opposition to calling somebody out on what I believe is a bad take, but let's just say I'm feeling generous. You know, you have been spared, but you may not be so lucky next time. So think about that the next time you leave an iffy take in my comments section. All right, friend? And also, I'm not wearing a tank top because I think I have muscles and I'm trying to show them off. I have a really gnarly sunburn on my back and I'm just trying to give it some air, you know? So just so you guys don't think that I'm like heading to the beach after this. No, I am staying inside. Quite the opposite of going to the beach. So first thing this individual said was, "You're not better for spamming. That's the real name of that PvP strategy," with quotation marks. And what he's referring to is basically doing things like sidestepping and charge stepping, you know, in order to extend your combos. Again, referring to that as spamming. He does that a couple times throughout this message, and like, I could not disagree more. It's like, how is that spamming? To me, the equivalent of spamming in Dragon Ball Legends would be like if I had 4 cards down at the bottom and I just tapped all of them. Whereas doing things like hitting a strike card, moving up, moving to the left or right, and then hitting another strike card, that's not spamming. That actually gives you a lot of room for error and a lot of opportunity to drop the combo if you don't do it just right. If I just wanted to like spam and, you know, have the broadest chance of my attacks hitting, I would absolutely not charge step or sidestep or anything. I would just tap all of my cards down at the bottom. So I don't know what you mean by saying that, you know, doing these like charge steps or side steps or anything like that's spamming? Like, how is sidestepping and charge stepping not a PvP strategy, but the alternative, which is just tapping whatever cards you have down at the bottom, how is that a strategy, but sidestepping and charge stepping is not? Like Dragon Ball Legends, while it does use cards, it is not a full-blown card game. It is an action RPG. If you want a game that relies 100% solely strictly based off of the cards that you've been dealt and using those effectively, then I'm sorry, Dragon Ball Legends is not it. I mean, Dragon Ball Legends has opportunity for timing and things like that. If doing things like sidestepping and charge stepping was not what the game developers had in mind, then they would remove it from the game. They would do things to like remove that from the meta to where, you know, doing that like always drops your combo. But they keep it in because now you have a couple of different ways to play the game. You can either just tap all your cards if you want to, like how the tutorial kind of goes over, or if you want to be a little bit more ballsy, kind of high risk, high reward, then you can do things like sidestepping and charge stepping to potentially add a couple more cards to your combo at the expense of way more opportunity to drop the combo altogether. So he elaborates by saying that makes the game so boring. It's much like camping on PvP shooting games. And again, I don't agree with this at all. It's like, to me, the equivalent of camping in Dragon Ball Legends is like what happens especially at the beginning of a match where both of you are just kind of like staring at each other like, bruh, what do I do? And nobody is willing to make the first move because you know that your opponent has a vanish and that they're going to be able to probably vanish the attack. Like, that's camping, and people do that all the time. You know, if we want to complain about camping in this game, it's that. How is me charging towards my opponent and pursuing them and attacking them and trying to attack them for as long as possible? That is literally the exact opposite of camping. Camping is sitting in one place and hoping for your opponent to come to you so that way you can attack them. And then he says it's pretty annoying to play with people who step forward and load key while massive spam attacks make it easier just to destroy them with a better deck after it didn't work. So basically what he's saying is if you're doing things like sidestepping or charge stepping, then you're only doing that because you had a bad deck. And like, I mean, I don't entirely disagree with that point. I will give him that. If I all of a sudden have like all 4 strike cards in my deck, I may be a little less inclined to do all the sidestepping and charge stepping. I'll be like, that's a pretty good hand. Like I can deal 4 hits very easily. You know, I'm not gonna risk dropping this combo because I have a pretty good potential combo coming out here. Whereas I will definitely be much more inclined to do sidestepping and charge stepping if the cards that are in my hand right now are not that great, because I'm like, I want to extend this combo as much as possible so that way I can get more cards, hoping that those more cards I get will be better alternatives in this situation. So if you want the game to be like 100,000% RNG, where the person who gets the better hands automatically wins, then I guess, sure, yeah, let's get rid of charge stepping and sidestepping and all that. And then basically the fate of the entire game is decided before the match even starts. And his last point here is what just really got me. He said, vanishing and attacking are things that show your skills. Spam just shows that the deck used is crap and there's nothing else to do against a real monster. I see what he's saying, because I mean, yeah, there is a certain amount of skill that goes into vanishing and attacking. Like there's timing, especially with vanishing, you know, and getting a perfect vanish. I will agree with you on that. I'll meet you in the middle that does require skill, but that's not the definitive style of skill in the game. Like he's basically saying that like your show of skill is having the best deck, and I don't get like that couldn't be further from the truth. I mean, any random person, my grandma, who has to read her phone like this, but then also like this, you know, like she could download this game and dump a cajillion dollars in it and get all the best units, limit broke to 14 stars. And yeah, she would have a much better deck than me. Does that mean that she's better at the game than me? Hell no. Does that mean she has more skill? Hell no. I would whoop my grandma's ass because I would be doing things like charge stepping and sidestepping. You're god dang right I would, because she would have the better deck, and like I'm not gonna let that win. Like doing things like that is what Dragon Ball Legends does to make it balanced against pay to win players. I would drop the game today if we didn't have things like sidestepping and charge stepping, and the only thing that mattered was the quality of the deck that the person had. Like that would be such a terrible game concept if they did something like that, where having the best deck is basically an automatic win because, you know, there's nothing your opponent can do to counter it, and the way to get the best deck is to pay real life money. Like it'd be one thing if the characters were all unlockable via like in-game challenges that are available to anybody regardless of how much you're willing to spend on the game, and then that'd be one thing, you know, then we know automatically that the people who have those good units are the most skilled players in the game. That'd be one thing. I don't know that I would love that, but that would be one thing. But what you're getting at here in this particular instance is that the person that should win, in your opinion, is the person that has the real monster, the best deck. And you're saying that about a game in which getting the best deck is basically a game of who's willing to dump the most money into it. Or we could argue that it's not about the money and it's about RNG, but still, why would you want the entire fate of the game to rest on either of those? Maybe I'm totally wrong because, you know, this comment does have a thumbs up. I'm sure it was by the guy who left the comment or whatever, but somebody did reply to it and said, I hate people who do this, makes me want to throw my phone, but I figured out that certain times of day, these types of people are less likely to get on, which I just wanted to include because it's like, all right, they found us. Yep, all the people who use sidestepping and charge stepping, we all meet on Discord at the exact time of day and we get on PvP at this, like, all right, Bandai, release the spreadsheets. We demand as members of the Dragon Ball Legends community that you release the spreadsheets of times of day that people who do this get on the game, because apparently it's very consistent. Yeah, so I'm about to hop on, right? Yep, I'm putting on my worst deck that I possibly can, and I'm a sidestep like crazy. Is that what you're doing? All right, we're hopping on in 8 minutes exactly. Stay on for an hour. Dope. I'll see you there, bud.